Hey folks, this is Chris Johnson with another online fly tying tutorial. Today we are going to be doing the Mimic Sedge. Is a very, just one of my favorite caddis patterns overall. It's one of my signature patterns. Umpqua had it for a while, but they have since let it go the way of the dodo. So I still tie these personally for all of my fishing up in southern Colorado. And now that it's going to be harder to get these, I want to make sure we have a tutorial out there about how to tie these and do them correctly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We have a TMC 101 in a size 14 on here. So this hook here is basically just an ultra fine straight eye dry fly hook, so nothing fancy. We're gonna take, this is actually gonna be nano silk and a 30 denier. This is actually a very fine gel spun polyethylene thread. It is a little slippery. That's the only downside to it. So if you're tying this fly, be aware, it's a little slick when you use this thread. If you use a standard tying thread, you won't have that issue. To start the fly, we are going to use just standard cow elk, and this is a bleached. So I'm just gonna take a little snip of that right there. I'm gonna take the brush out all the broken tips and the underfur. Don't need any of that. And then we're gonna come over here and find ourselves a stacker, and by the stacker all we want to do is just put this in tips down, stack those, and unlike other times when I want the tips facing this way, this time I want the tips facing forward towards the eye. So just be aware of that, because we are going to be tying these in for the body. Now this is a few too many, and you will, with a little bit of practice, figure this out on your own. You'll find out what is not enough and what is too much by doing it. But I'm going to migrate the thread a little further back. I'm going to make sure that I tie these in nice and firmly. I don't want those slipping out. Now with gel spun, you can really crank on these. And I'm going to actually take this, and it's going to take a second, but I'm going to jump that thread rearwards all the way down. Another key point here, do not over tighten your gel spun when tying hair. It will cut it. So make sure that once you have this little body in there, don't put a big giant amount of torque on this thread or it will cut right through your elk. But we want to tie that as far back in the bend as we can, and then just migrate our thread back forward. Once we've done so, pull all of this forward, just like so. Make sure your thread's migrated in that proper position. While holding tension with this hand, I'm simply going to rotate that thread over a couple of times. Keeping in mind, gel spun has like next to no stretch, so I don't have to really bear down on this like I would with normal fly tying thread. But that body is perfect. Just that nice little bulbous body is all we're wanting right there. To proceed, we're going to spiral this thread down carefully. Want that right there. And then once we get here, I'm going to put my finger on top and pull that up underneath so I can get that final spiral in there just like that. Come back over the top, and if you do this correctly, it should make a little X on the back of the fly. So a little X, slide it into the groove, X, try to slide it back in, and X, and move my one little obstinate hair here, and move. We are good. That gives me a little segmented body. It traps all that elk hair and makes sure that it's going to be nice and durable for the life of the fly. Once I've done so, come in here and trim all the butt sections of that hair off as close as I can. Do not cut your thread like I almost did. All right. I'd say I've never done that on camera before, but I promise you I have. I've cut threads somewhere. Whether I went back and redid the video or edited it out, I don't really remember, but I know I've cut it a few times. All right, tie those little stubble ends down. We don't need those any longer. Step next, you guessed it, more elk hair. So we're gonna come in here, repeat the process, get a little snip, pull the bigs out. I'm gonna take all this stuff and I'm gonna brush out all the brokens and all the underfur. And that's it right there. Then I'm going to stack this. This one I'm going to be a little bit more exacting on. I got a couple of long ones that I'm going to pull out here. I don't want those. Be a little bit more exacting with this one because this is actually going to be the upright wing on this fly. So this one I want it to be stacked evenly. And I don't want there to be any shorts in there. So here, pull it out. I have quite a few that are pretty short in there. I'm going to grab it by the longest fibers. There's all my shorts that I don't want in there because if those fall out, that just leaves a slick space in the materials and decreases the durability of the fly. So we don't want that. Last stack. Pull them, slip them out. Stack nice and neat. Transfer those to the other hand. We want those to be slightly longer, just right, almost about the hook bend is really where we want those. Come over it loosely. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and pull. And if you'll notice, that flares beautifully, and I've not let go with this hand. So make sure you have that nice and situated right there. When you do this, look at how that wing just pops up there nice and neat like that. While holding tension, pinch that, pull it up, and while keeping this under tension, because remember, gel spun has 0 stretch, and it's going to try to spin on you and move, and I don't want that at all. So I'm going to come in here and make sure that I am good and clean. I want another wrap there. I saw a little spin, so I just want to make sure I'm plenty tight. Come in here, pull the butt sections up, trim those off as close as you can get them. That makes our nice, neat little upright elk-hair wing. And I'm going to wrap back on that ever so slightly and give a pull. That little elk-hair wing right there is exactly what I want. That allows us to see the fly. That also helps even more with flotation and just kind of helps with the overall profile. I'm going to come in here and trim those little butts off as close as I can without cutting thread. There we go. Take your thread, kind of wind through all those. Oops. I did it. I knew I was going to do that too. I hit that hook eye and I knew it was going to do it. Okay, since we've now restarted our thread due to my user error, it turns out the hook eye is sharp. Watch that, that's important. So, you know, user error. Take that, tie through those little stubble pieces. We're going to get right up against the wing, and then the final portion of this fly is to add CDC and Hackle. So CDC, I have 2 little tan feathers right here. Well, actually, they're not little, they're giant. But 2 tan feathers, we're going to take those and punch those in our Pettyjohn clip. Slip it in the clip just like so. Once you've done so, grab the chip clip side, grab it, pull those out just like that. That's exactly what we want, just that really good batch of usable CDC. And we're going to take our long scissors after we knock our stacker over. An organized bench, you should have one. I definitely don't. Trim all those quills away to where now all you're left with is the CDC barbules themselves. And find you a very, very sharp needle. This right here is a very fine pointed needle. And if you take that, that will split this thread pretty easily. Gel spun, while it is thin, is normally, I say normally because I'm on video, is normally pretty easy to split. And yes, it actually is exceptionally easy to split. That didn't change since the last time I did this. Insert that into that split. Give a couple of hand turns just to make sure the material is kind of pinched between there. Spin your bobbin and then spin the ever-loving fire out of that. I want that to be just this nice bushy brush right there. That's exactly it. All right, move my vise up, get my wing up. Take this, my first wraps, I'm gonna pull the wing high, and I'm going to fill up that gap right behind the wing so that it stands that wing up just like that. That's all I need right there. Now, I have too much CDC, I can already tell. If you ever have too much, those feathers were very bushy. I normally use 2. Those were very bushy feathers. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to finish that wrap right there, and my work here is done. I don't need any more. That's enough. And that should do the trick. Now, this would ordinarily be enough to, you could fish this fly as is. But since, we're wanting to be all extra and everything, we're going to go ahead and add, with the little bit of space we have left, this is the only real tricky part of the fly, we're going to add a couple of turns of dry fly hackle just to push the actual head of this fly up. So to prep your dry fly hackle, take this, and this is about the right size, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim those last couple of barbules here, just like that. Taking those barbules and trimming them like that allows them to not slip out when I mean, because for one, we already talked about how slippery gel spun is. It makes them to where they will not slip out during the tying process. And that's all we need right there. Pull that rearwards. Get any of those strays out of the way. Little trim, some hackle pliers, and we should be off to the races. Should take just a couple of turns. Oop, let me get my hackle pliers on the right part of the feather. Helps if the quill's on it instead of just the barbules. Take that, make a cross, go over, over again, over again, over again. And last time is right there. I'm going to come up, and you'll notice I'm running out of room pretty fast, but that's okay. I'm going to go all the way up to the bitter end. I'm going to make a couple of passes with my thread through that. And there's a neat little trick that gel spun allows you to do. If you will pull all of this back, make about half dozen wraps and pull. I don't know if you saw that on camera, but it jams that hackle all back in there. And now we're nice and clean and have this beautiful clean head. That is exactly what I want. Is that right there. Nice hackle, clean head. Everything looks good. Get some CDC out of there. Put a whip finish on this. Probably put a second one in there since we're running with gel spun and it is slick. Don't capture any hackle fibers. Give a little pull. Our work here on the tying process is done. Get that little errant fiber out of there. Take this guy. I'm going to leave these fibers long. The only thing I do different on this fly, I come in here, I turn it upside down, and I trim it flush. Just like that. So that this thing sits nice and flush on the surface of the water. And it skates like crazy. I love these things. Makes a great skating caddis pattern. I really, really enjoy fishing these. They float high and dry. This is my #1 producer in high country streams in Colorado. It floats great. It's highly visible. The fish eat it with reckless abandon. This fly right here is an absolute must-have in every high country angler's box. But we have a lot of caddis that hatch in Central Texas as well. So anywhere you're at, whether it be, sunfish, small bass, trout, there's a caddis hatch probably on that stream somewhere. So make sure that, ours come off in the evenings in the spring a lot. These things are invaluable because they do float high enough that you can still support a dropper. They skate easily, and you can use either an oil-based floating or a powder floating on them. They're just an absolute pleasure to fish. So tie a couple Mimic Sedges, put them in your own box. I think you'll like them, and honestly, I know the fish already do because I've had plenty of years with these things doing work for me. So have any questions, please contact the shop. Let us know how we can help in any way. We'll see you on the water in the store soon. Thanks again and take care.